I want to have a shot about speaking about the perfect relationship. Something that most of us crave, something that most of us think is possible in some maybe deluded way. And well, especially if we were brought up watching Disney. And I want to have a go at it. Let's see what comes through because there is a formula for a technically perfect relationship. It doesn't mean it's possible, and it doesn't mean that we're going to experience it in this lifetime. And I think that the number one thing, the number one aspect of a perfect relationship is accepting you will never have a perfect relationship because a relationship includes two humans who are perfectly imperfect, and thus that makes it perfect because at our very core we are made of the same and we are one with the source. So from that respect you can have a perfect relationship, but it takes a lot to peel back the layers to get to a point of unconditional love, like true unconditional love, not just the conditioned unconditional love where you believe that you unconditional love is doing what something for that person, doing everything for that person, giving everything up for that person. The other person completes me, they are my one. No, that's not a perfect relationship. That's actually a recipe to make yourself ill and completely abandon yourself. So, the idea of a perfect relationship takes two people, and it takes two people to know thyself fully. It takes two people to go on their own inward journey and work towards their own wholeness. That is the number one step for a perfect relationship. And so, to achieve a perfect relationship, we all have to accept that we're two humans. It's going to be imperfect because we're imperfect, and that makes it perfect. But I've been sat with it, I've been reflecting on it, especially ahead of my Through the Looking Glass Shadow Work in Relationships series next week. You can sign up in the link in the description. But this is honestly for anybody who has been in a relationship, anybody who has experienced any kind of relationship, who wants a relationship, who wants a deep, deep kind of love. And you may already have that. You may already be in a committed relationship. But I guarantee you that there is another level that you can get to. And that other level comes when you go on this journey together. Like anybody on a self-development or personal, like spiritual development journey is constantly peeling back layers and learning something about themselves and integrating new parts of ourselves. So we're not the same person that we were yesterday, never mind 10 years ago. So, this is an ever evolving, unfolding experience. There is no such thing as permanence. We live in a world of change. Everything's changing all the time. So as we change, our relationships are going to change. What we want from relationships are going to change. And it's really key that we have self-awareness. So two people coming together with deep self-awareness and self-responsibility. When we're able to have those, that brings humility. We can have humility in our relationships, and that helps us to let go of being right all the time. Because most people clash and argue when they believe that they need to be right or they can't accept that they're wrong. Self-awareness takes a different level when you can go, oh, my ego thinks this. This is my ego. This is my conditioning. This is my identity. And that's why I'm finding this so hard. An example is when somebody is annoying you, your partner is annoying you, they're maybe being selfish, and you're asking why they're being so selfish, but you can see that that's your projection onto them and they're just acting like they normally would, but that's triggering something within you. So when you can accept that, you are taking massive self-responsibility, massive humility to say, hold on, let me go and look at my bit here And then once you've looked at your bit, address what's going on for you personally, then you can address the behavior between the two of you, because it's first and foremost, anybody who's triggering you is triggering something alive within you, which you get to work with. The only person who can change that is you. So really understanding that you're two individuals on two individual journeys, and choosing to have a shared journey, a shared chapter, a shared relationship, is really what makes this beautiful. And understand, and having acceptance for each other. Like, we're all going to make mistakes. We're not going to be perfect all the time. Emotions are heavily involved in this process. And when emotions get triggered, we go unconscious. Basically, when emotions are heightened in our system, we go unconscious and we say things we don't mean. And so there needs to be a level of acceptance for that to happen. There needs to be wiggle room for the other person not to meet your expectations all of the time. A little note on acceptance, because you also need to learn that, to accept that you're not going to be perfect all the time. Often when we're angry at somebody else, it's because something's going on within us. So if we can accept that we're not perfect all the time, it helps us to accept other people's imperfections, and be much more compassionate and empathetic. Now, I also said emotions are going to be strong, and that's because most of the time we are projecting our unmet needs, our wounds of our mother and our father, or immediate caregivers when we were growing up, and sometimes like an ancestral patterns, shadows, wounds, onto the other person. You might have been brought up to believe that men are unreliable, and so you will be projecting that, and you will have an expectation that this man needs to be reliable or he's gone. So you will be projecting these expectations, which are born from something that a need that wasn't met within you when you were a child. And so you're projecting that onto the man, and that is causing you to have like a negative experience and probably be really picky, or just choosing really unreliable men because that is what your psyche believes. It doesn't know anything else. It doesn't know that actually a man can be really supportive and hold you and love you and be reliable and show up for you and stand up for you and be the provider and the protector, because you don't have a pattern of that. You don't have a blueprint of that, but it is possible. And it's possible in the unconscious. And that's why when you need to do your own shadow work so that you can release these projections, take that pressure off the other person and alchemize it within you. Once you alchemize it within you, you're giving the other person freedom to be who they actually are. And you're also attracting somebody who's much more aligned, who doesn't carry the patterns that your unreliable father carried, or mother, like overprotective mother who never likes any of your partners. Like you you're projecting a huge amount onto the other person. So understanding that as well is really going to liberate you and the other person in your relationships. And so the projections of our mother and father also shape our projection of the masculine and the feminine. So not only are you projecting unhealed mother-father wounds onto the other person, but you're also projecting the shadow of the masculine and the feminine. But we all have masculine and feminine within us. The masculine aspect of a woman's psyche is called the animus in Jungian psychology. And the feminine aspect of a man's psyche is called the anima. So the anima is the muse, the soul, the creative, the emotions, the divine feminine principles. And the masculine is steadiness, will, drive, boundaries, that protection. And the two together create wholeness. The two together flow amazingly, beautifully. This is like we live in a universe of polarity. We need masculine and feminine, and we have them both within us. But because of our shadow projections, of our conditioning, onto the other, we're not actually able to meet the true energy of the masculine and feminine. So this is where your shadow work again is so important. And also to note, you will meet a person who is like, where if you're a woman and you're so in your masculine because you've had to learn how to survive and take care of yourself, you're gonna struggle to meet a full, like, a man in their masculine, because we're like magnets attracting what we need to balance each other out. So you'll probably attract a man very in his feminine, and it probably won't be integrated. So unintegrated masculine in a woman will probably attract unintegrated feminine in a man, and it's a bit of a chaos. It's like you're brought together, but it doesn't really work. So how you then need to do your own work, your own inner work, to release some of this like sticky, hard, super disciplined masculine, to allow your softer, more receptive, deep feminine to come through, and thus you will then attract a match for that. So there is so much in this, and in relationships, and in two humans, two souls coming together. But what I want to say on that is, like, the last thing is shadow work. You have to do your own shadow work journey. You have to do your own deep inner work. Otherwise, you're just going to meet chaos in relationships. Now, what I see in, sorry, Callie is having a whale of a time right now, feeling the eclipse energy. What I see in some of the most beautiful, successful relationships, and I actually have one in mind in particular, and is this, you are living a shared life. You're two individuals living your own lives on your own journeys, but you choose each other. They choose each other every day, and they've, you may have been together for 10, 20 years, a lifetime, and you go through chapters. We're always changing, especially if we're flowing with life, we're always changing, and that change allows you to, you meet different chapters in the relationships. You might have a baby, you might get married, you might hit a dry spot, one of the other might have a career change. So that all of this is going to impact your relationship. So it can be really difficult sometimes. It's not just going to be beauty, love, romance, Disney princesses all the time. They're going to be hard moments. So in those hard moments, how do you love each other more deeply? How do you hold each other? When you argue, how do you repair? How do you come back together? You have to choose each other. You have to be willing to choose to fight for the relationship. There may come a time when you also have to know when to let go, because there are so many relationships that are living their lives unfulfilled because they didn't let go when they should have done. I hear it all the time. We stay together for the kids. No, that is not true. That is not authentic. That is killing you. It doesn't benefit the kids either. From my parents' divorce when I was 7, yes, it was hard. Yes, I deal with the healing that brings for me. It was the best decision my parents could have made for me and my sister, and for their respective lives, right? So you have to know when to let go as well. And so the couples, I believe it's really important to have a shared vision, to have shared values, shared goals, shared intentions, shared, how do we want to love each other? How do we want to live together? How do we want to make this work? And then from that space, you know when if you're not compatible, when this isn't. I actually think all couples should do this in one of the first couple of months, and then easy, are we compatible or not? You could spend 2 years with a guy who doesn't want to get married and have kids, and then what? Or 5 years, if you're not compatible, if you don't have the same vision, the same dreams, or at least similar, like, they don't have to be exactly the same, because again, you're two individuals, but you're not going to have, if you want a family, You're not going to have a family with somebody who doesn't want a family, because that, again, is not in alignment. You need somebody who wants very similar things to what you want, so you can create this beautiful partnership and the teamwork. So to sit and work out your shared values, intentions, is a really beautiful, powerful way of strengthening what you have, deepening what you have, and checking in on it every 6 months, every year, making it a ritual, having shared rituals. Some of the favorite things that I like is like having coffee together, shared meals, walks after work, or just moments throughout the day. Even just like, I've been in long distance relationships, and like moments where you're able to keep it hot, where you're able to come together and have like, and just a nightly, like, good night every night, just a shared rituals that you both respect and you both are like, and that comes from aligned values. So I guess I don't really know what makes a perfect relationship, and I don't believe any relationship is perfect. And I don't believe in the one. I believe we have many ones, and I believe we have different soulmates, and I don't believe all soulmates are romantic. And I believe that, but I do believe that we can choose to build partnership, and we can have amazing relationships in our lives. And I also believe that even an ending of a relationship can be beautiful. So there is, every chapter of this life can be sacred, because it's all teaching us something about what we all really crave to know, and that is who we are and why we're here. And that to me is, if everybody can be working on themselves and building their own beautiful relationship with themselves, you're going to build a beautiful relationship with somebody else as well. So I hope this helps you in some way. I would love to hear if there's anything that you believe I've missed, or if there's anything that you're looking for in particular in a relationship, or if there's something that you and your partner have. Like, let's help the world come back more to unconditional love, which is our truth. And I believe we do that first and foremost by finding that within. We can't love anybody else unconditionally if we don't love ourselves unconditionally. And in order to do that, we have to see all aspects of ourselves, which takes a lifetime of work, inner work, beautiful inner shadow work, reclaiming projections, and creating a beautiful life symbiotically. So comment with any questions, hit like, subscribe, and share with a friend. And yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I will see you next week. If you want to join Through the Looking Glass, we start Monday 17th